will be fine. Talk to you, and we will be fine. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So we continue with the discussion on money identity and personal financial values for you and me. So remember, I said to you earlier that what money means to me is security, freedom, status, and survival. Do you remember that? And I asked you to write below what it means to you. And then the second thing, I was telling you about how money shapes my identity, in how I spend. But then I said my upbringing is one of the things. My gender and the gender that raised me is and the gender around me even is one of the things. My community, the one that I was raised in and the one that I'm currently spending that money in, is one of the items. And then my personal securities or insecurities leak into my money habit. So those are the four things also that then make me to be able to hold on to the financial identity that I have built using security, financial freedom, status, and survivor. So today we shall be talking about how to align our spending with our personal values. How do we align our spending with our personal values? My name is Victorine Bongshu, and I will be putting you through this. The first thing, I had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, and she will be very amazed to find out that I'm doing this in this talk, is to know your values. My daughter and I, we had a conversation where I was telling her my values, but I started the conversation by saying to her, when I got out of the bathroom today, one of the thoughts that I had was how I have sometimes let go of my values in my pursuit of money, or even in my pursuit of survival, just barely to survive. I have let go of certain values, but I've also picked up values that were traditionally not mine. And I said to her, I've come to understand that values are fluid. And then she and I, we started introspecting what our values are. And I mean, for me personally, my values are the things that matter to me. My values are my family, my education, the peace of mind that I have or don't have. It's my health. It's how I grow intellectually or physically. And it's my contribution to the world. I mean, there can be many more, but I hold those values very, very high. In that I was saying to my daughter, what are your own values? And she was like, oh, Mom, I really don't know what my values are. And then we laughed. Of course, she's still young, and I'm not going to let my young daughter leave without understanding that she needs to develop values and hold on to. So I started reminding her of what her values possibly are. And then we spoke about it. And I said to her, you don't need to agree with me. Go sit down, introspect, and then come out. I remember she and I also had a discussion on the definition of introspection and retrospection, because she asked me, were you introspecting or retrospecting in the bathroom? And I said introspecting, and she said, no, you were retrospecting. So anyway, that aside, my family determines how I spend my values, my reaction, how I see my family determines how I spend, how I use money. It determines my money identity. It determines how I earn. My approach to education also has an influence on the kind of financial identity I have, of how I earn, how I spend, how I budget, even how I give. And then another thing is the level of my mindset. Do I have peace of mind, or am I disturbed? The level of my mindset also determines my reaction towards money, just like the growth. I don't know if it's in the slot before this one, but in one of the slots, I mentioned that I was so inspired by my godmother, who was a school principal. Imagine, headmistress particularly. Imagine my godmother being headmistress so many years ago, like some 70, 80 years ago, you know. She was already a developed woman. She was already a financially savvy woman, according to what I could see, given the kind of house that she lived in. Those of you who grow up in Womb, you can tell Mrs. Ngong. Obviously, her husband was also a headmaster, but in a government school. And for me, growing up, I thought if this woman did not have the kind of mindset that she had, the growth mindset that she had, she would not be able to live in so much wealth. So I started developing myself and telling myself that I'm going to grow intellectually, I'm going to grow socially, I'm going to grow financially, because I could also understand, looking at how many people stayed in our house and in their house, I could also understand that in some ways social capital is wealth, you know, which also then suggests to you my approach to people. So how are you with people? How are you with your family? How are you with yourself, your peace of mind? How is your health? If you're not healthy, you cannot actually manage your finances well, because your mind frame will not be stable. How are you contributing to the world? If you're not contributing to what you believe is your value, if you're not contributing to maximum, you will be disturbed. So unlike me, with all these 6 values of mine that I gave you: family, health, education, growth, peace of mind, contribution to community, if you have different values or different ways that you look at value, go ahead. Okay, so another thing that determines my identity, and I think yours as well, that you should look at, is what you spend on. What do you buy? What do you spend on? If your family is your highest value, do you spend more on your family? If on your family lifestyle, on your family education? If education is important to you, do you spend more on going to school? What brings peace of mind to you? Is it debt or is it lack of? So your money should reflect your values, not your impulses. That is why I also said in the other videos to say money is not emotional. We are emotional. Our approach to money is emotional. So do not look at money and say money makes me emotional. No, you are the one who is emotional. So your values should reflect how you should approach money. You know, what are your value driven approach to money? So is money for you building long-term success, or is money building you instant success? You have to also consider that. When your spending value makes you feel less guilty, when they make you have less financial stress, and when they give you more satisfaction, or when you avoid buying the things that you need to approach other people, then you may be living your best life. I'm not saying you are living. You may be living your best life when it comes to finances. But just introspect and place yourself there, that place where I am unable to get for you. You know, they say when the roots are deep, the wind cannot uproot a tree. So if your financial roots are deep, if your values are deep, if your values are deep rooted, it is likely that your money decisions will be built in a way that you can withstand pressure from friends, from trends, from lifestyle, and that you can also shock whatever happened to you, so you can absorb the shock. And then what I would like you to practice is to ask yourself 3 key questions every time. The first one is, what are the top 3 things that you care about the most? What are the top 3 things? Don't confuse yourself by doing 6 like me. I prepared for this presentation, that's why I have 6. But you are listening. You can even put it here in the comment section so that it becomes our next presentation. But what are the top 3 things that you care the most in life? So when you write down that to yourself, or when you tell yourself those top 3 things, you check your spending habit. Are they reflected in these top 3 things? The way you spend your money, do these top 3 things cover for that? If they do, again, and then you reflect even further, and say, what changes can you make this month or the next month to match your money values? What changes can you make to match those top 3 values? And then maybe you should start working towards those changes as soon as you can. Because there is an African proverb that says, a person who knows their path does not fear the journey. So once you know your identity, your financial identity, you're not going to fear how to manage your finances. A person who knows their path does not fear their journey. Master your financial identity, master your values so well. That is why you see I dedicated 2 slots just to talk about values, because you've got to master your values so well that you do not fear how to execute money. You don't fear your financial standing. Okay, if you do like this video, please go ahead and share and subscribe, and ask your friends and families to subscribe, because you're going to be getting more of such videos. I check you out as I check out. Ciao. Thank you so much.